The Fräulein and I go to the Republican Party of Chesapeake annual dinner on Saturday night. And this, I can tell you how nasty local politics is, because as I've told you before, Christy New Craig, school board member, is running for Commissioner of the Revenue of Chesapeake, who we support wholeheartedly, trying to break up the cabal. But the cabal there, they don't like to get challenged. And their handpicked candidate is fake Republican Frank King. Basically has never done anything, but they can control him. The party of Chesapeake is run by Shirley Forbes and Carol Dietrich and a handful of others. They pick all the candidates and they decide who the Republican Party backs, and they win. And then by controlling everything, they can shake people down for different things. Like if you want to get elected in Chesapeake, you have to hire Shirley Forbes's consulting company, so she makes money on that. Plus, if you try to get legislation zoning through and you need help, you got to go through her. She charges $25,000 and she has leverage over the council members because she put them all in office. I mean, I'm just telling you like it is. I don't really care what they say to me or what they do. So we go to this dinner. So as soon as we get in, one of the committee members, I'm on line 620 or so at the cocktail line, and I'm on line with my wife, and one of the I'm not going to even say her name because I don't want to embarrass her, but this is real. Everything I'm going to tell you is real. So she comes up to me and looks at me sternly and says, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Excuse me? Why are you here? You shouldn't be here." I'm like, "Because you cashed my check." It's like, I sent you $150 and that's why I'm here. Well, you shouldn't be. You should be ashamed of yourself for even showing up here. I'm a Republican committee member, and I bought 2 tickets for me and my wife. Thanks, though, for the warm welcome. The party of welcoming Chesapeake GOP. It's unbelievable. So they sit us, a handful of us for Christy New Craig, they sit us at a back table by the door. It was me, Ann, Tyler Spruill, Marty Williams, Kathy Williams, Taylor, another young Republican. So 2 young Republicans there for Christie. They're ousted. And poor Jeff Bunn, a school board member who has nothing to do with any of this, didn't come on time and he couldn't find a seat, so he had to sit with us. So we had to give everybody a disclaimer that he's not part of the Christy New Craig insurgency. I mean, it's really ridiculous. So they spend the whole night, this being rude to my wife, which is what they do. But I don't care, right? Either does she. So we're kind of laughing it off. And then Shirley's the MC, and Randy makes the keynote speech, Runaway Randy. And he makes the keynote speech, former Congressman Randy Forbes, and spends half of his speech blasting me. Like, this is supposed to be a unity dinner, right? I'm for another candidate. So what? So he spends half of his speech blasting me and scowling and all this other thing. And then somebody says, what's her name? Irene something or other. I'm not going to say. You know what? And Joe says, after you effectively called them the Three Stooges, wasn't that awkward? Well, I guess so, Dr. Joe. Whatever. Let's see. Anyway, so I got to get this texted because I had written it down. Okay, so it's over. And again, I'm not going to mention the young fella's name, but there's a young Republican there who has been very active in the party and given his parents have given a lot of money. And so was he giving his own money. Real estate guy, young guy, up and comer. And they got a couple young Republicans there. Now, there's not a lot of young Republicans in the Chesapeake Party of Virginia. Trust me, okay? Average age, not young Republican. I'm not going to go into that. I'm 59, but I would be the baby there. So Randy Forbes, after it, now I go home. Marty Williams, and by the way, Marty Williams, salt of the earth. I mean, just salt of the earth. You're in a trench, and you want somebody to have your back. You want to call Marty Williams and Kathy Williams. This guy's solid. So he doesn't care. He's there. So Ann, myself, Marty Williams, and Kathy Williams leave. And left there is our 2 young Republicans who are Christy New Craig backers and friends of ours. So Randy Forbes, this is a former congressman, right? Subcommittee chairman of the Sea Power Committee. Been there 30 years, right? goes up to this young fella. There was a lot of witnesses, so this is no exaggeration. Goes up to this young fella and says, "You've made your choice. You've made your bed. Now you'll sleep in it and bear the consequences," and walks away. And so this young Republican is like, just absolutely, he's like mortified. I mean, he's supporting another candidate that they don't like, Christy Newcraig, and the congressman threatens him. Can you believe this? And so after that, this is what I'm told. We had left, Hardy Williams and I had left. All hell breaks loose. So then there's a big argument in the parking lot, we understand, between Shirley Forbes and this young Republican and the other young Republican. And Shirley is threatening him, and it goes on and on and on. And this is their unity dinner. Because somebody dared to challenge who they pick as their candidates to lead the city. Because the way Chesapeake works is whoever the committee picks to be and says this is the official Republican that we back, they win because it's a Republican area. So if they hand those ballots out that says this is a Republican, they win. Now, they can't do it in a primary because in the primary, Christie's challenging their hand-picked candidate, but they don't like Christie because they can't tell her what to do. Just like they don't like Senator John Cosgrove because they can't tell him what to do. So the people they like, they tell what to do. And so you're trying to get, this is a dinner, you're trying to get new people in. You got two young Republicans, you call them out, embarrass them, make them cry. I mean, this is what goes on in the city. And I'm sick and tired of it. And look, I got a lot on my plate. I'm being in D.C. for 2 weeks. A lot of people say, why are you involved in Chesapeake? Who cares, right? Because that's my home, and I care. Because I'm there and I see it with my own eyes. And let me just ask you something. If I don't expose this level of intimidation that they have going on there in the Republican Party in Chesapeake, then who the hell else is? Everybody's afraid. And it dawned on me, this is how they maintain control. Now, this is one example. I don't know how many of these other cities are out there. But this is one example of a group of establishment people having a chokehold on everything, and they gain power and stay in power simply by intimidating people. Unbelievable. And basically, a young fella who works his tail off for them and wants to move up in the party is threatened by a 10-term congressman who got beat when he ran away. Threatened. He's 29 years old. He's trying to help. Too bad that he doesn't back your candidate. That's why we have primaries. Unbelievable. And then he spends the whole speech addressing me. It's like, you have got to be kidding. I'm telling you, if you live in Chesapeake, you have got to vote for Christy Newcraig on June 3rd. I can't emphasize this more. Sometime in your life, you just got to stand up for something. And you know what they're doing in Chesapeake and what they did to this young man on Saturday night. And they only did that because we had left. I can tell you right now, if Ann and I were there and Marty Williams was there, there is no way they would have done this. But they picked the most vulnerable person in our group and crushed him and humiliated him. Nice going, Randy. Let's go to Chesapeake where we have Irene. Irene, you're on the line.
Okay, John, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I've called because I heard what you said regarding me this morning.
Yes.
And I would really like to correct the information that you put out there. First of all, you were standing in front of my table at my chair. That is why I walked up to you. But when I did, I actually said to you, I'm surprised that you are here in light of the fact of the ugly things that you have been saying about us. And you stuck out your hand to shake hands with me, and I refused to do that because I told you I did not shake hands with people that talked ugly and nasty about us. And then you said you were in it to win it, and I told you that that was fine, but you did not have to be mean-spirited and ugly about campaigning for Christie. And so in light of that, I'd also like to point out that from the podium, there was no speaker Saturday evening that ever mentioned your name. The messages that were put out there were messages that we always talk about, which is teamwork, family, friends, and working together to get our candidates elected. So I just wanted you to know that I wanted the information corrected because I felt I deserved that much anyway. And also, I don't know how you seem to know so much about what goes on in our party because I don't think I saw you at our meetings last year but one time. So in light of that, I appreciate your taking my call. Now, I don't know if you're going to respond to what I have just said, but that's my spiel.
Well, you're welcome to call my show, Irene, anytime. I went to the dinner because you cashed my check. That's why I went to the dinner.
Well, I didn't cash your check.
Well, somebody did. You guys invited us and we went to the dinner. And by the way, I didn't come to your table. I was standing on the very long cocktail line trying to get a cocktail for myself and my wife. Well, that might be, Irene, but when you're at a unity dinner and you shake hands with somebody and they don't shake your hand, I mean, that's pretty rude, Irene. I mean, I can remember in my lifetime.
The rudeness came from you in the beginning, Irene, with the fact that you've been so ugly about the party that you want to be a part of, obviously, because I'm told that you, like everyone else, paid their dues this year.
Yes, we did pay our dues, and we paid for the dinner as well. And I can't come to your meetings because I travel. Like the next 2 weeks, I'm in Washington, D.C., so I can't come to your meetings. You're welcome to stream them online if you please, but I try to come to the events that I can. But here's the bottom line, Irene, okay? You guys threw Scott Weldon out of the party, a young man that came there and tried to be a member, and this is where the whole thing started. And you guys had a meeting, and he came in and you rejected his membership. I mean, here's a young guy that's been in politics forever. His father-in-law is a school board member, and he tries to come in and you throw him out of the party because you don't like the candidate he backed in a primary. You don't pick the candidates. The people do. And that's what I'm going to change, Irene, or I'm going to die trying. The days of a handful of people in Chesapeake sitting there in a meeting and deciding who is going to be on the Republican ticket and who they nominate, and the hell with the voters and let them eat cake. We're trying to change that. And I'm going to keep working to change it and to bring the party open, not shut it down, which is what you guys have been trying to do forever. And the treatment of one of our young Republicans after the party was over, when Ann and I left and Marty Williams and I left, the treatment of him was unconscionable. I heard from a number of people,
and neither did you.
I heard it right from.
For all you know, and for all I know, it could be fake news.
It's not.
As President Trump.
It's not because I heard it from. I heard it from the young man.
Reporting on hearsay.
You know what, Eileen? You can't make up your own facts.
And those are the things that I object to with the fact.
Are you saying it's not true, Irene? Are you saying it's not true?
You don't come to our meetings. You don't know what goes on, and therefore what you report is hearsay.
That's right,
and
Irene.
You don't know how it was reported, as I've called you this morning to tell you that you stated this morning on your program that I asked you what you were doing at our
exactly
meeting,
what you asked
me.
I
never asked you what you were doing.
Well, you wouldn't shake my.
What you were doing.
You wouldn't
there.
shake my hand.
I asked you, or I told you.
Do you think not shaking hands with people, Irene, is not rude?
There. That's two different statements,
Oh,
John.
Irene, you know what?
If you're going to report things, you need to report them in a truthful manner.
Well, I
do.
You
need to get somebody to check the facts.
Well, Irene, I'm checking the facts. You know what? You just can't get on the line and make things up. Did you shake my hand or not? Answer the question.
No, I didn't.
Well, that's rude. Is that not rude, Irene?
Because I don't like the way that you talk about our party, and I don't think that it's necessarily to be mean-spirited when you're campaigning.
I'm not mean. I tell the truth.
It's one thing to talk about issues. It's another thing to talk about personalities.
Why'd you throw Scotty Weldon out of the party, Irene? Why'd you throw Scotty out? Why'd you throw Scotty Weldon out?
That's the way I feel about it.
Irene,
so I've got an appointment at 10 o'clock.
Why'd you throw Scotty out?
Thank you for taking my call, and I do appreciate that you would fact check before you report on things that you don't know about.
You know what? You're making things up, Irene. How come you threw Scotty Weldon out? Huh? Oh, you hang up now because you have to answer a question. Look, if anybody is listening to me right now, here is exactly what is happening in this party in Chesapeake. You got a handful of people who have made every decision on every candidate. They decide who your council is, who your school board is, who's going to run for commissioner of revenue. You got 3 people led by Shirley Forbes. They make all the decisions. And if you don't comply, you get threatened. Or they don't shake your hand, or they do whatever rude things they do. Try to intimidate you. They've been doing it for 20 years, and no one has called them on it. And as far as what happened to that young Republican at that meeting and what Randy Forbes said, he told me that, and so did 2 witnesses who were standing right there. So I corroborated with 3 people. Now, you can't lie your way out of the truth. And until people like me hold, or anybody in the media holds nonsense like that accountable. What? I haven't been at a meeting? Yeah, I travel. I have a job to do. I go to the meetings when I can. You have a dinner, it's $150. I pay for that, and I take my wife. And I try to have a good time. But you don't want me there. You don't want me there. You know why? Because I don't buy any of your nonsense, and I tell the truth. So you don't want Scotty Weldon there. You don't want me there. You don't want that young Republican there that Randy threatened. How many meetings has Randy Forbes attended? What, 5? Come on, man. All right. I got to roll. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We'll be right back.